The 16th Amendment, the Supreme Court has determined that the 16th Amendment confers no new power of taxation on the Congress. Congress can't do anything now that it couldn't already do before the 16th Amendment. The Supreme Court says all the 16th Amendment does is to establish the income tax as an excise, which means that you are paying rent for using their property.
Nice quiz.
It's like going to
Is that a
Amos.
bird stem to love my photo on bed? Oh, please tell me
we gotta pay you rent and all the paper dollars.
Whatever you want it to be, baby.
Why do people use the Federal Reserve notes? There's no other choice. It's like Henry Ford. You can have your car any color you want as long as it's black. If you have a choice of one, is it a choice?
Yo,
no.
Let's not start.
So, what do we need? We need some options. So instead of using this, we can use this. This is American Liberty Currency, minted by an organization called Norfed.
Yo, dog, I had to dance. Pretend like it's mowing lawns. You gotta sell yourself, baby. Thank you so much, Gregory. I just wanted to introduce myself. Hello. I am the Guinness World Record. Hello. I'm the Guinness World Record holder for streamer. Tina, are you going to be inappropriate? Thank you so much, Gregory.
Oh my God. Okay, Tina, I could have just dropped it for a second. Let's wrap.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I stream my life online like The Truman Show, if you're familiar with the movie, or the television show Big Brother. I've been doing so for about 2 years now, more than 666 days. That's more data than any person has ever put out on the internet, and I do it for world peace. I don't want people to have war anymore. So on a daily basis, we come to different spaces, introduce ourselves, and talk about world peace. I just want to let you know that I appreciate the opportunity to be here and let you know about that. Absolutely. I stream my life on 6 different streams on YouTube live. It's the largest compilation any one person has ever put on YouTube. It's over 200,000 hours of footage. I shower on camera. I eat, I sleep, I laugh, I cry. Basically, yes, I do. You can actually see it on my Twitter. Yeah. How do you shower? You don't shower naked?
assholes and cock.
Very well. So essentially, if you're ever interested, you can always watch
Name of the YouTube, Rabbi.
at Rabbi Rothschild.
Are you interested? Mike, does he can make it?
There's a link in my profile. If you click that, you can see me live on 6 different streams.
It's probably a virus. Don't click on the big guys.
But you don't have to the same. It's just a results link. You just type in Rabbi Rothschild and filter by live.
Thank you. No, he's
All right, Tina, you are not helping this. Okay.
not pushing your narrative towards me. I said no.
Okay, that's your opinion.
You're not in charge, Tina. And the rabbi is the guest of Gregory. You either behave yourself, get the fuck out.
Thank you, Yeti. So absolutely, I have my driver's license online. I mean, no one else does that. No, I just have no fear. Basically, I've never hurt anyone in my life to such a degree that I feel that they want to take vengeance. Absolutely, you can call me right now if you wanted. I appreciate that, Yeti. I just don't have any fear. So in addition to the live stream that I have, we talk about some other really interesting topics in society that normally aren't discussed. Transhumanism, AI. We've seen the birth of AI on this stream. We've seen the death of a queen, the coronation of a king. Yeti, you are on the ball. Thank you so much, Gregory. So essentially, some of the things that we discuss are anti-gravity, antimatter. Some things that we discuss are anti-gravity, antimatter, transhumanism, mind uploading, really advanced technology, things that aren't normally discussed in society. Thank you so much. Life extension technology is really important. I feel that perhaps, though, if you have the ability, you might be able to extend your life past 100 years, perhaps into 200 or 300 years within a generation or so. Cryogenics, cryotherapy, stuff that we really discuss.
Do you see the problem? 5 minutes to regain your own space, and then you give it back to this fucking scumbag? It makes zero sense to anyone. Space is open. I can't undo it, I don't think.
To my knowledge, Bob Marley, he was buried, and after 2 days, to my knowledge, he was not cryogenically frozen. However, there have been some people rumored to have been, such as Walt Disney and Ted Williams.
Okay. There was some African American guy with dreads who was cryogenically frozen. I don't remember if it was fiction or real. So I appreciate the answer. Thank you.
Absolutely. But these are things that perhaps within a generation might be more affordable to the common person. I'm not saying to everyone, but if you are interested in perhaps life extension technology, there are some aspects of it that we currently have. Essentially, in addition to some of the more minor ones like supplements and vitamins and such, there are certain transplants that are being conducted. But the real one where I think is interesting is mind uploading. So if you're not familiar with mind uploading, it's the ability to scan your brain into a database and use that database to later download that information into a robot, into a cybernetic being, into an avatar, into an ethereal, like almost spirit, or into a clone of yourself. But essentially, it'd be like save. Exactly. They'd be like save points in a video game. Go ahead.
There's a large anal probe that extracts all the data.
Essentially, it's an MRI scan of your brain, just more in depth. And essentially, then once that information is stored, it can be saved indefinitely. But it basically is a way for you to create yourself into a cyborg at a later point.
Okay, so would it be like what if I wanted to look at my memories from childhood, things that I've repressed, things that I can't put together? Remember, could I have that process done while I'm alive? Look at the memories. Is it visual? Is it data? Is it code? Is it zeros and ones? Like, what's the end? What's the final product of the download? What do you?
Great question. Yeah. So this is still somewhat speculative, but there have been just data. So the idea is that you could have a CAT scan or perhaps an MRI on your brain, and then be able to use software to visualize what that data consists. So yes, there would be a way perhaps to view your old memories. And then also an interesting aspect is there's something called mind erasure. So for people who have experienced perhaps traumatic events, PTSD, there would be a way to remove some of those memories, more painful memories in people's people's minds, so that they don't have to deal with that on a daily basis. And then additionally, in addition to mind uploading and brain erasure, there's an idea of being able to actually view your dream as an archive of that, and you may be able to watch your dreams of the past in the future. Exactly. So here's a beautiful thing about that. There's only a 14% chance that it's Shabbos. There's an 86% chance that it's not. Why is that? Because we don't know for a fact that Friday night to Saturday that we celebrate it is actually Shabbos. There's an 86% chance that it's not Shabbos today. So in reality, as a Jew, the fact that we don't know, and knowing that the punishment of celebrating Shabbos not on Shabbos is the punishment is execution, I have just come to the conclusion that I will continue to live my life the way that I live it, without combustion, without working, and the fact that electricity is being used does not necessarily prohibit me from using it on Shabbos. If we even consider this Shabbos, again, there's only a 14% chance that it's Shabbos today. There's a 14% chance that it's Shabbos tomorrow. And where do I get this 14%? It's essentially one.
I am of the opinion that any American with freedom of choice, freedom of religion can, intermingle, edit, or pick and choose, do whatever that's smart. Your heart, however, is up to you. You should have the freedom to do so. So I wasn't judging you, I was asking.
Oh,
However, there's a guy
I think it's a valid question.
Talking to. He's an Orthodox Jew. Shut your mouth. You're rather intelligent as well. Excellent conversations /
I appreciate that. I look forward to it as well. And Yeti, I'm an open book, and that's an excellent question that you asked. So don't feel bad about it.
Thank you. And I wasn't trying to be, I wasn't trying to judge.
No, not at all. I mean, if you know about the calendaring system, it really just goes back to the 19th century. And really, that was just Western countries that aligned on what the days of the week essentially were. Russia had not done that until the 20th century. And so many Jews are Russian as well and haven't been fully on board that the day that we celebrate Shabbos on Friday to Saturday, whatever day that necessarily is actually the correct one. And again, it's 86% chance that today is not Shabbos versus a 14% chance that it is.
Yeah, that makes sense. Rabbi, you know what the holiday is? Can you tell me what that means,
Holiday? Like holy day? Oh, Haredi. Yes. So essentially, those are bloodlines of rabbinical dynasties that have been passed on really since the 17th century. They're another, essentially, they're Orthodox people who really worship in a more conservative way than perhaps some conservative Jews or Reformed Jews. I don't see why there's a prohibition against it.
Yeah, and as the rabbi just explained his philosophy on Shabbos, it should, his theory, douchebag. It's none of your fucking business. You sound like a dumbass. It's none of your business. What he's doing is disrupting. I'm having a conversation. And disrespectful. No, you're not. His philosophy is what he believes in out your mouth. Am I wrong?
So some other things that because I am quite an Orthodox person, meaning I say bracha, I don tefillin on a daily basis, well 6 days a week when it's mandated. But again, you don't necessarily know when those are. So when Mashiach comes, we'll let Mashiach make the determination of what is what. But something that really separates me, I think, from a lot of Jews, but I think I have a lot of support, is that I'm an anti-circumcision rabbi. I feel that it's ritual abuse and that it causes a lot of pain to children. Yes. So I feel that it's natural to be intact. I am not. I had a bris, and so I would like to use science and technology in the future to use stem cells to be able to regrow a foreskin, and I think that that's an opportunity. No, it's definitely something that is being.
Wait, Rabbi, I'm sorry. Mike, it's not funny. Like, why
Yeah, if people didn't know this. You can. And you can create additional sensory cells, essentially, that allow for better orgasms and more stimulation.
Yes, I heard about stem cell studies, the future of reconstructing the human anatomy.
It most certainly is. So, the reason why,
Mike, I'm smart.
the reason why I am too, Mike. And it's something that if you have been circumcised, that's okay. Certainly, many men are, but it probably wasn't your decision. And if you know anything about people who aren't circumcised, they have more sensory cells in the tip of their penis. And essentially, a lot of men want that. So using stem cells, there's the ability to, I understand that too. I think people will essentially become more used to the look once it becomes more common. But this is for women as well. So there are many women whose first time with a man when they broke their hymen was not something that they wanted it to be. Perhaps it was a rape, perhaps it was a sexual assault, or just that's fine, Tina. That's absolutely fine. But essentially, there's the ability for women to regrow hymens and men to regrow their foreskin. So if you didn't know this technology was possible, it absolutely is, and it's becoming more mainstream. That's exactly right. That's a. I know it is. It was crazy to me too when I started to learn about the technology, but it's something that is being done and is certainly, I think, will be done more in the future once it becomes more mainstream. I'm 37 years old. So yes, those are some aspects of technology that that we delve into. Though I'm not saying that, at least if you're Jewish, the bris is an important ceremony, but that could just be simply what essentially is the same ceremony for converts who have already had a circumcision, which is just a pinprick, a little bit of blood, but it's much less painful, and it doesn't have the lasting effects that a circumcision does, where essentially you're mutilating your genitalia or someone else's. And that isn't to say that if you want to be an adult and have a circumcision, go at it. But essentially, at this point, within many aspects of society, it is not someone's choice. And I want to give people the choice as opposed to forcing some type of ritual on someone. What is the connection between your beliefs about circumcision and I mean, basically, when it comes to sex changes, that's someone's personal decision. I'm not someone who's going to tell someone what to do and what not to do. If you really want to know my beliefs, though, I think that there's an agenda. If you want to know, I live in the state of California, and on my ID, my gender is it says sex. It's not male. It's not female. It used to be male, but I changed it. I'm an X. So actually, on my license, I'm an X. So what does that mean? It means I'm non-binary. I love having sex with women. I have really great relationships with women. Never had sex with a man. However, if we live this type of life that may be transhuman, where you might be able to live a much longer life, that really kind of almost creates a new type of species. And additionally, I don't want my children to perhaps be at any disadvantage in the future. And at least in California, there are a lot of advantages for being non-binary. In some cities that they give you $1,000 a month. If just the fact that if you are non-binary, more common. But the city of Palm Springs. City of Palm Springs has a program. If you're non-binary and you move there, you can get $1,000 a month. It's a test. It's a test for universal basic income. It's a test of universal basic income, and I really think that is something that we'll be seeing more in the future, a universal basic income, because AI is replacing so many jobs so quickly. So these are terms that you're probably going to hear a lot more in society. I personally no, there are other benefits. I don't get any money for being trans. I'm not trans. I'm non-binary. But really, I take it to another level of transhumanism. I really think that we are moving towards a world where mind uploading is a thing. And so transhumanism is really past transgenderism. There are people who want to change their organs. And if they want to do that, that's absolutely fine. And if they have the amount of money that is needed to do so, they may be able to change back. I'm not going to make any person's personal decisions for them. Essentially, though, of the LGBTQ plus movement, I'm plus, whatever that is. Essentially, I feel that we have the opportunity using science, perhaps, and mind uploading to not die. And if that is an aspect of society, we are no longer, in my opinion, Homo sapiens. But we're some who absolutely can ask me if I'm married. I am not. No. It's an excellent question. It's an excellent question. I'm not married.
Rabbi, how do you feel about a straight person calling a gay guy a faggot?
I feel that generally that's a disrespectful term.
Yeah, Mike, stop it. What if that person never treated you with respect and does nothing but prey upon others and abuse and harass them?
Well,
The moral standard be different. Megan, if this was this sort of behavior, no, I'm actually asking a question, and if you'd shut up, maybe we'd hear the answer.
that's a great question, Yeti. I'm also a very strict free speech advocate. So I feel that you should be able to call someone that without any type of retribution. I feel you should be able to say whatever you want, whether it's fire in a crowded theater or you want to call someone some type of hate term. I feel that you should be able to. There's the old adage, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And you should be able to say whatever you want to someone, because when you start to remove people's ability to be able to use words, you start to be able to control them. And I don't like that. There you go. That's something that we discuss as well. Human sexuality and on the stream. So essentially, I have had more social media accounts than any person in global history. I have over 1,000 TikTok accounts. I have over 100 YouTube accounts. I have over 100 Instagram accounts, Twitch, anything that any kind of social media there is. I made over 100 accounts for every single major one. And the reason why is I didn't want to be silenced. Actually, if I'm canceled or if they want to take down my YouTube streams, I stream my life live on Instagram as well. So I have those as a backup. I'm live on Facebook. It would take a lot to be able to cancel me. And really, when it comes to human sexuality, I feel that we should be able to discuss these things. I feel that, honestly, nudity isn't anything that we should fear, and you should be able to be nude if you want to, particularly if it's in your own home.
Listen to hear this from a rabbi and to have a conversation like this with Rabbi. This is a first-time experience for me. How does that make you feel?
But you border on the line there sometimes when you say somebody can like scream fire theater, you know what I mean? Like,
I do. I know what you're saying. Let's take that example. The reason why that was a crime 100 years ago was because you had people who owned the theater who would lose out on revenue. People would demand a refund after that. So there was business involved in this. In today's day and age, if someone yells fire in a theater, that everyone may clear out, and you're allowed to if there's a fire, you're allowed to if there's not a fire. But essentially, if there isn't a fire, no one's going to believe you in the future. So it's the situation. You're absolutely right, Yeti. And we didn't have the fire codes that we currently do. If there is a fire, then that's a perfectly understandable thing to say. But if there isn't a fire in the future, people just won't believe you. And then you'll kind of be ridiculed in society. You'll be able to say whatever you want, though. I don't want to take that right away from people. When it comes to women...
If they don't believe you, okay, and then, you know, it's not the thing, then you have another problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just some things that aren't acceptable by conversation reasons.
Here.
Now, a guy with Joker makeup on and a green whip come in with an AR-15 and just start popping motherfuckers left and right. The theater is an extremely beneficial area to target a whole bunch of people in a small amount of time because of the right. So it's a concept like what's your point?
Essentially, some other things about which we discuss on the stream.
I don't know, I can't fire seriously because I have a close ties to fire men.
You can, you absolutely can, but that doesn't mean that you should take away someone's right to use the word.
It's not like a said, I mean, that's just an example. But I can think about like probably a million other ones that have to do with protecting you. You know, like I think the free speech and that protection part has to be considered.
Well, then people give up safety or security for liberty. And there's a saying that basically those who would exchange security for liberty deserve neither.
So, Rabbi, you said you're saying that you would rather sacrifice safety and speech. Like, I'm a little confused.
No. I'd rather sacrifice security in the case of saying fire in a crowded theater than the ability to say it. So essentially, I'm a free speech advocate. If you want to say fire in a crowded theater, that's absolutely fine.
But you understand what you're saying. There might be people in the audience listening to you and saying, "Oh, it's okay to say fire in a crowded theater."
I don't think that anyone should be able to permit you from saying something. I don't think that anyone has any right to prohibit you from saying anything. Exactly. Right. Absolutely.
Start talking about sexual things in front of little children.
That's fine.
Or if we say we want to kill somebody, murder somebody, or we are very graphic in front of children, is that acceptable?
Generally, those are privately owned, so the owner of the business has the right to ensure that you are removed from the property. Let's take that in a public park. Let's take.
Theaters are public.
No, they're not. They're privately owned.
Well, I meant private. I'm sorry.
The difference is that if it's privately owned, then essentially the owner can choose what they want to happen on the property. Let's take a public park. So essentially, you have children in a public park, and then you have someone who wants to yell some type of obscenities at them, or maybe sexualize some things towards them. That's their right. That's a First Amendment protected speech. You can do that in today's day and age. And really, for people to want to protect their children such that they're not allowed to hear curse words or they're not allowed to hear sexualized words, that's just a parenting decision. Some parents believe that that isn't necessarily appropriate for their children. Others don't really mind that much at all. But when you start to legislate what can be said and what can't be said, that's when I feel society runs into some issues.
So we have children inside of the theater. There's children inside of the theater. We scream fire and there's chaos. It's a private sector. And that's okay.
Yes, I mean, then the owner of the business is going to ask that person to leave, and if they don't, they'll call the police, and the person will be escorted out for trespassing. You don't have freedom of. It's private property. So I would say that's exactly right. They may respond, but likely you won't get arrested for it unless there's some kind of indecency law that for which you're going to be cited. If it's a strict First Amendment issue. There have been cases of obscenity laws. The one that comes to mind is someone cussed on a boat in. They were on a canoeing trip in Michigan, and their boat sank, and that was overturned by the Supreme Court. Essentially, it's a First Amendment protected speech. But moving on from that, I think that I'm an advocate for women, especially in technology. And when I say that, there's something called the areola, the nipple, and men are allowed to show nipples on social media and women are not. And I feel that is de facto discrimination against women.
I agree.
Oh my God.
Free the areola, exactly.
there was a woman, Sawgrass Mills, a lot of people come from South America. There was a lady with her tail like full on apple, and she was walking the mall, and I remember like Titty, it was crazy to see because you'd never seen it before, but in other parts of the world, it's like, but chicks
Why? That is that work.
It's abnormal. It's abnormal from where you are and your experience, but the majority of the world is normalized. It's just skin. And that's the thing. You can't be offended by people's skin, whether it's the color or the look of it. You shouldn't get offended by the way someone else looks. It's not normalized. Well, really, here's where I look at it, and it's less about what you see in public, but what it is on social media and how women are discriminated against on social media. So essentially, I can be on YouTube with my shirt off, or I can be on Instagram with my shirt off, or Facebook with my shirt off, and because people define me as a man, which I am, or have those parts, that's absolutely fine. But if a woman does so, she loses her entire account. She loses a way for her to make money. And I feel that's a discrimination. I'm against that. I don't feel that you should lose your account because you showed skin. To me, it's discrimination.
Oh, yeah, but you're thinking like I do. So, I mean, it's a little bit different. You sat with the same organs. But I think to logic.
So it's just that we would remove the parts within the privacy policy about nudity. Essentially, if you have a nip slip as a woman on your social media, you can lose your entire account, whether it was intentional or accidental. I don't think that should be a thing.
Media company that has terms of service and rules. It's no different than the theater. What's acceptable?
I understand, and that's a legitimate argument as well. But then I feel that it should essentially be boycotted by women. And I don't see a big uprising, but essentially the terms of service state that this social media application will discriminate against you because of your sexual organs. I just don't think that's a thing.
Those people, that generation is very split now. We're 7 like the LGBTQ, and that's enough, it's the forefront at this point. So I think
She wondered how women should be able to contribute to the
there's some very few. We wouldn't have voting rights. I mean, there's so many things that people as women should be respectful of them.
like in the rest of your standard. Well, let's see here.
Yes. So
That's where I'm going. Are you Jewish?
absolutely, through DNA and through my actions.
Like I pointed out, today was shots, and that's what originally what made me think of it is I said to you, and so you have a great combo, and I was going to go and find came from, which rang in my head, could have been a rabbi.
So we can talk about that as well. There isn't a formal rabbinical prohibition that says you cannot be on the internet. The closest one would be that you can't use combustion. But essentially, I'm not lighting a cigarette or I'm not using a lighter for that. Essentially, electricity is different than fire. But I do. They use VPNs on Shabbos and surf the internet willingly. It's not discussed. It's not discussed in open society, but that is a very common thing. Yes, there are Muslim people who are Jewish. There are Amish people who are Jewish. Essentially, there are many people, and perhaps this entire room could be matrilineally mitochondrial DNA can be traced back to the Bible. And essentially, if your mother goes back to the Bible, you're Jewish as well.
I think it's like about like religious wise, not like blood wise.
Oh, well, then generally, no, if you practice, I guess Amish people, many are Mennonite, then they would just consider themselves Mennonite. But according to their DNA, if they got hit by a car today and we had to do an autopsy on them and we looked at their cell structure, we're going to see matrilineal mitochondrial DNA. And then at least they would have no different, there'd be no difference in what their DNA looked at. And that's absolutely fine for them. I'm just saying their DNA would not show as Amish generally. It would show as it could follow its way back generationally, perhaps to 4 women in the Bible. Absolutely. There's definitely some divisive points, but it's seen as a term of respect. While within Judaism, it is a symbol of respect towards God to keep your hat on, and it's a way to identify yourself. It absolutely can be, though. It absolutely can be. It doesn't have to be a kippah or a yarmulke. It can absolutely be a baseball cap. Those are cultural associations, and it just really kind of depends on what your background is. In some societies, wearing a hat, whether they're Jewish or not, is at least the ones to which I have been, non-Jews are offered a kippah or a yarmulke in order to show respect for God. That's absolutely right. And actually, if I could, one of the major poseks, or one of the major Jewish rabbis of the 20th century, Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, had ruled essentially that if you are inside under a roof, you don't have to wear a head covering.
Recently, with the fair cap on a lot of them, like they'll actually, they wear the cap during the day, but they have like special ones for during the day, and then if they're indoors, they wear like a lighter one. And when they're laboring, they wear that thing as well. I don't know.
These are cultural associations. Essentially, I think we're moving away from traditionalist mentalities and more towards essentially a unireligion where people are of the same faith, maybe almost globally. I mean, really, Muslims, Christians, Jews, we don't disagree on that much. And essentially in the modern world, no, I absolutely do. I just don't think that it differs that much from the major other religions. Well, essentially, I think that we're moving more towards a modernist society, and with that, there are some contentions that people are willing to give. And I could just say to this room, and please, if you don't agree, let me know. But if I were to define what is God, that's a difficult thing. But the way that I define God is energy. Does anyone disagree with that? But energy is something that is in every human, but it's in every being. It's in things that are static, but essentially it's a way to describe the unexplainable. And at least when it comes to God, I've been able to find a lot of common ground with Christians and Muslims. When you talk about God or you talk about Allah, what does that mean to you? It's difficult many times for them to describe. But then when I say I think that God is energy, we find a lot of common ground there. Perhaps it's a different name. Perhaps you use Jesus Christ or whatever it may be. Muslims may use Allah, but at the end of the day, if you were to try to define what does Jesus Christ do for you, what does God do for you, perhaps a way that you can agree with many other faiths is just to call it energy. I don't know how else you describe it or how else to describe it. Do you have a better way? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Mama. Yeah, that's a good way. That's a good, and I mean, it's and on my end, it's kind of a cop out because I can say, well, energy is very flexible and it can fit within the idea of spirituality as well. The child of God, do you have something to say? Your hand is raised. Hello. Welcome. It's nice to meet you as well. How are things where you are? We're sorry to hear that. Why are they so bad? I certainly understand that. Well, I mean, at least on my stream, some things that we also discuss, and particularly for the African continent, but really for the poor globally, if this stream ever gets big, one of the first things I want to do after, if we can establish world peace or at least get people to talk about that, is to solve world hunger and world thirst. And some of the ways that you can do world hunger is through vertical farming. Some ways through world thirst is through smart straws. Additionally, there are desalinization plants. There's cloud seeding. What I'm trying to say is essentially there's a lot of technology that we have as a society that we don't necessarily use for the good. And I would look forward to a future where we would do so and help people. I understand. I think we all could put ourselves in their shoes. If they only had one way to basically ask for money to perhaps save their own life, they're going to try anything they can. Hello, you're absolutely famous. This will be a famous conversation, God willing. No, I only get my cock blown. Some other aspects that we discussed, what I think are interesting things are desalinization plants. So, okay, thank you. Essentially, if you're not familiar with... I look forward to it. I didn't take it that way. Jesse girl, I want you to know. Jesse girl, I want you to know everything that you said. I have certainly thought in my own ways. So what you're saying is very common, and perhaps even the majority of people. So don't think that you've at all been at all inappropriate. Not in my mind. Trust code. I see that you have your hand raised. Go ahead. Take care. Trust code. I am. You can look at my ID. I'm DNA as well. I absolutely am DNA, and my last name. I have my. Okay, well, that's your opinion. I'm honestly a lot different than a lot of people in my family. I want to create world peace. I don't want people to have war anymore. I don't think that we should have the military-industrial complex like we do. I want people to... I've done what I can, and that's why I stream my life live online. I'm going to have a lot of power, perhaps, when this goes viral and people know that there's a real-life Truman Show. And when I have that platform, we're going to do everything we can to help the world. That's a great question. So that's an interesting one. Essentially, I think the people who live there are what we've called mitochondrial matrilineal Jews, and essentially they can follow their bloodlines up to the four main women in the Bible. So I really think that we should, as Jews, give them the opportunity to be Jewish. That's never been an option for many of them. Essentially, though, if you do know the Zionist plan, it is to take over the world. There's no doubt in that. And I would like to give people the opportunity to be a part of it. I personally do have a plan for Jerusalem. If you really want to know what it is, it's not that complicated. But you've got the Dome of the Rock. No, actually, I mean that's a thought, but that only works for so long. So essentially, I think the United Nations is going to tell the 13 major religions of the world that they are allowed, due to global warming or climate change, 2 major holy sites. So that means Muslims would have Mecca and Medina. Christians may have Rome and Westminster and London. And basically, every major religion would get their opportunity. Jews, just so that people are aware of how important the Beit HaMikdash, the third temple of Solomon is that we would just essentially give our extra slot. We would take Jerusalem and give our extra choice to Muslims, and they would make it Islamabad. Then what do we do with the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque? Exactly. So we would cut it out. We would cut it out of the. That's a great question. I'm a busy person. I don't care to clean it. So essentially, you have the. Not necessarily, but that's your opinion. So essentially, you have the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Please let me, Tina. Let me finish. So you have the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Tina, please. So essentially, you have the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock. Those areas I would want to preserve and put them on a boat, on a large ship. They're not that big of an area, and I'd want. Essentially, I want to take those holy spots and preserve them, and take them to the major ports of the world and let it tour the world, so that many people who would never be able to go to Jerusalem and see them, especially in Muslim countries, would be able to experience them in their own country. And Dome of the Rock have a permanent home in the New World, essentially in like Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I've talked to Muslim people who are absolutely in agreement with me that Muslims do not have a holy site in the New World, and they want one. It's a city of brotherly love, but it could be any city, wherever we want. Yes, so Muslims have Mecca and Medina, but those are in essentially the Middle East. There isn't. Yeah, so essentially, we would ensure that the Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque are absolutely preserved. They would tour the world, major ports, and eventually have a permanent home in the New World, in the Americas. Whether you want it to be Buenos Aires, where you want it to be Panama City, whether you want it to be Philadelphia, just a place so that essentially Muslims don't have to go. Oh no, they're very small. No, it'd be like a park. And then they would have holy sites within the New World, so that they wouldn't have to make such a travel overseas necessarily. The key to this is I want to preserve them, and I don't want anyone to die. Just Mecca, but Medina is an important site as well. But when No. It would not be a different location. They would still make Hajj in Mecca, and there would be no change to that. But essentially, it would give them a holy site in the Americas, which they currently do not have. But the key to this is, I just don't want anyone to die, and I want it to be done peacefully.
obviously that was quite high concentration.
Very high concentration.
Where was the location? Absolutely, you could use Dearborn, Michigan. You're absolutely right, and that would be a great place to do it. When especially when the people of the world, Christians, Jews, and even Muslims, realize that the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque are the third holiest sites in Islam, that doesn't seem as strong of an argument for them to have that spot. And in addition, as a symbol of goodwill, the Jewish people, Israel, would only want that one spot. Their second choice would be given back to Muslims, and they would make it perhaps Islamabad. Yes. So I've lived with Muslim people and tried to come to a 100% of my house agreed. I haven't done this in a large. No, I lived with a Muslim man named Muhammad, and he and I did our best to put our minds together to be able to somehow, some way, be a huge war, a giant war, and many, many Muslims will die. And I don't want to do that. I want to prevent Muslim deaths. Absolutely. Idealism. And that would be, we don't want it to be a war in the Middle East, and we don't want Jews to die. We don't want Muslims to die. We want to do this in a peaceful way, to the best of my abilities. Trust code, you've had your hand up for some time. Go ahead. Excellent. Trust code, your hand is raised. Can you hear us? Go ahead. Thank you. All right. Well, many people can. DNA, and I have my driver's license. My driver's license is on my Twitter. If you know how to spell it, I know how to spell it. I can follow my DNA up to Meyer Amschel Rothschild. And additionally, my room may seem messy to you, but it's just essentially what I live in. And if that's mess to you, then that's your opinion. Thank you. Hey, man, that's absolutely your opinion. You're allowed to have it. Hey, you're absolutely allowed to have that opinion as well. Where was that one guy? I liked him. Where was that guy? 35 others followed you. Can I click here and see him all? I'm sweating like a dog. Oh. Deep Rimmer. Dude, how about the Moto Razor, dog? That thing kicked ass. Where was that one guy? Gregor, this guy. And it sucks. Dude, she didn't ask for that fucking dude. I would be like, lady, it's called a Motorola Razor, and you're gonna be the coolest person in your fucking high school if you have that motherfucking. I'll even say it to you. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. I hope you are well. In the meantime, we're watching Joe Rogan.
I don't want to fucking be around trees. I like running from jaguars. This is life. Guys, life is running from crocodiles. It's not living in a fucking suburban
There's probably some that are like that.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think when it comes, we're going to embrace it. We're going to embrace it the same way you embrace cell phones, the same way you embrace television. There's going to be a few holdouts. I don't even have an email address, man. There's a few and far between.
I was just going to throw tits.
Ted Kaczynski was right. This is something that I think about sometimes when I get really hot. That Ted Kaczynski was a part of the Harvard LSD studies. This has been proven. Ted Kaczynski, they cooked his fucking brain when he was at Harvard.
That's
and then when he
fucking
went over to
amazing.
Berkeley and became a professor, his goal was to make enough
Gonna
money
wear
so
your
that he
kippa?
could implement this
have
program
to.
and live in
fucking
the woods
formal
and
time.
then write his manifesto
Ready
and
to get
start
formal?
killing people that were involved
Absolutely,
in
baby.
propagating technology.
He was expunged from the Harvard
Ta-da.
logs, by the way. This is something my friend just called me about. So there's like this private library, and they used to print people's names whenever they were part of a university. And he was one of the theorists. What I was saying to you was,
Christian, Muslim,
we
Judaism,
terraform
peaceful
our
debate
Earth, right?
2.
we terraform, we change the environment, we do all this innovation. What is stopping us from thinking that that's not being done? I'm not saying is. I'm saying what's stopping us from thinking that that's being done on a much bigger level, on a cosmic level.
You mean like aliens coming down doing that to humans?
So I'm telling you that there is something here. There's a fact. There's something. There are craft. They're here. They're not ours. They're here. They're not ours. They're here. So the question is, what is that about? And I'm just looking at what we do with what you're describing with technology.
Well, I think it's much more likely that the same way we observe chimps, we don't get past certain levels, we're never going to reach this.
Right.
I mean, we're in
type
this,
1 civilization.
yeah.
We're going to stay type 0.
well,
Yeah.
we're in this warring, polluting, pillaging,
We're awesome.
civilization.
So,
Well, we're awesome in a lot of ways,
But in that way, we're not.
But yeah, we're children that have immense power that we didn't really. The other thing is you're using the immense power that other people have created, right? I mean, even when you're driving a car, you're stomping on the gas like, whoa! You didn't invent the fucking engine. You didn't invent tires. There's all these.
So if you're watching, I'm gonna try to get in on this.
It sucks to see. I've seen friends that have taken out of a drug addiction, product of the military, how they were treated, right? Like instead of having other avenues, it's like it's pills for your pain, drop on. Like, and now, we're at the stage where we're at now. And I feel like not only should veterans be able to use cannabis, but
Things that
in some capacity, right? If I'm allowed to drink alcohol, that can hinder
We're getting in on this one.
thousands of ways, but I can't, I should be able to consume cannabis that helps me. I mean, it can hinder, individuals, but it helps me, right? But obviously, you treat it as such, right? When I was on active duty, right, you drink 8 hours hours prior to your service. Drink 8 hours prior to formation, first formation. Treat the same way if you can't smoke 8 hours prior to first formation, whatever, right? But
Here we go.
because it's not federally legal, regardless of the state we're in, we can't use it. Right? And in any form of CBD, nothing, because it all pop high in there, there goes your career, right? So that needs to change, but it's going to take a lot, and a lot of people fight. And I'm going to say it from the mountaintops as long as I can, and any platform that I have.
Hell yeah, man.
Cannabis needs to be, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Be able to be accessed by military service members, because
Absolutely.
truthfully, it could help save a lot of people's lives when it comes to, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, I've seen it, I've lost friends too. You know what I'm saying? They got
Absolutely.
addicted to pills because of, the initial start of it in the service, and then they get out, they're not getting it anymore, so they have to figure out how to get it, and they start venturing down the path of other more dangerous things. And unfortunately, I've lost friends to it. So, alcohol too. And just, very passionate about cannabis.
Absolutely.
And I'm working on some stuff with that, so I definitely want to tap in with you about that, because I'm trying to do some nonprofit work for veterans. Yeah, man. And that's one of the things. It's like it's finding that passion. Excuse me for jumping in, guys. But it's that passion and that drive, and I feel it, man. But it's also like I'm still going through that stuff and like trying to navigate it post-military, and that's that connection. And I know we've been keeping in touch, and that's one reason I came back here, guys. Is y'all are so welcoming about cannabis and definitely veterans. I'm definitely looking for Mississippi, people from Texas, like California, like Canada, guys. So thank y'all. Appreciate you, Marcus. Hey, tell me what you know when you to the spot here we can make I'm a fan. After the end of the first one, my name was Kush. So, on that, first of all, how many people showed up to formation that had drank way less than 8 hours before formation? I showed up to formation drunk all the time. It's too early. It's impossible to get 8 hours. It just doesn't happen. But like, people also weren't getting like kicked out of the military for that. That's for fucking sure. Personally, and I was in the Army Reserves, and I got my general discharge based on a hot cannabis test. I guess drug test in general, but it was hot for cannabis, and that's what got me my general discharge, and did it absolutely recreationally at that point in time. But I was also drinking way more, and that was socially acceptable. So, and I was a lot more destructive when I was drunk. Trust me. Factuals, I will agree. Actually, for those who know, I really don't drink anymore, to be honest. Like, I don't anymore. Like, you see me in events, you pick up one more joint, and right down a bottle of water or a can of straight. But I actually don't really drink anymore, so. I think the last time I really drank was my 36th birthday, or maybe my 35th birthday, and I'm 40. Thanks for your studies. Thank you. I don't even miss it. Like, I don't miss it at all. I did a lot of it when I was younger, and that was that part of my life. The Olympics when I was in the Army. It would have been bad if I was too close to home. So, man, more power to you for keeping pushing through. Let's pass it over to Rabbi ROTHSCHILD. How you doing?
Kicking ass, taking names. Every day's a holiday. Every meal's a feast. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Shout out to you, Wake and Bake Radio, and everyone here. Shout out to people who have served in the military. Thank you for your service. I want you to know, first off, Wake and Bake Radio, episode 58, that's amazing consistency. Thank you for giving people the opportunity here to discuss important topics. The one in which I'd like to discuss is the 420 movement and cannabis. I don't feel that we should legislate a plant. I feel in addition to allowing for cannabis legalization, we should allow for hemp legalization, because hemp has a lot of opportunities scientifically that we aren't utilizing and haven't been able to utilize because of many of the powers that be, specifically the Hearst family when it comes to the criminalization of hemp. And there's, you can't get high on hemp. There's absolutely no real reason why that should be illegal. I'm a pro 420 rabbi. I am someone who feels that it is that cannabis is a gift from God, and that we should use it. It is something that can alleviate pain. It can alleviate stress. There are too many people who have to rely on alcohol and pills in order to kill their pain, frankly, whether it's mental pain or physical pain. And really, there are a lot of opportunities that cannabis has. And I really look forward to a future where our children, hopefully, and our children's children are able to use it in a safe and legal manner. Thank you for the opportunity to contribute.
That was amazing, bro. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Rabbi, because that right there, everyone is saying, this is what the space is for, bro.
Thank you so much, Smokey. I really appreciate it. You guys have a really great opportunity that the way that they're being conveyed by the people in this space. I think that we could make a lot of change. We just a lot of times don't have the mic in the media in order to promote that which is really something that is a gift from God or natural. It's very hard to compete with the pharmaceutical companies, but God willing, the message will get out. Thank you so much for your kind words, Smokey.
Thank you, Rabbi. And what is this Guinness World Record deal?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for asking. So I live my life on YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for nearly 2 years. I'm past 666 straight days, which means I have more data on the internet than any person in global history. It's over 200,000 hours. I'm live not on one stream, not on two, not on three, not on four, not on five, but 6 different streams all day, every day. So people can watch me eat, sleep, shower, bathe, laugh, cry, and really I do it for world peace. I don't feel that we should have war anymore as humanity, that we should be mature enough that we can get past many of the wars that take place. And I really do my best to get the word out about some of these movements about which we discussed: world peace, ending world hunger, world thirst, the 420 campaign, equal rights for people. These are all really important topics. So I've dedicated my life to it for the past 2 years, and it's really become the world's largest timeline and the world's largest time capsule. I feel that future generations will study this, essentially not only to know what life was like really from post-pandemic until the future, but we've seen some really important, interesting historical events. We've seen the death of a queen, the birth of AI. We even had a coronation of a king today. And essentially, I think people in the future will study how humans interacted with each other and also how humans live. And so if you've ever seen the movie The Truman Show, that's basically my life on 6 different streams. At any one time, you can watch me. And basically, I'm a human zoo.
Guy's a fucking legend, bro. That's the dude, It's like you come in here with the energy and spreading questions. Do you have a public rabbi that can see you, or
absolutely? No. I travel as far north. So I live in Irvine, California. So I've been on camera as far north as Santa Barbara, been to Hollywood, Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, Long Beach, everywhere in Los Angeles, basically all over Orange County, and as far south as basically San Diego. So yes, I do go out in public. When I go out to the store, I ensure that I have that on camera. My human interaction is generally, as much as I can, it is recorded and uploaded to the internet, or I stream it live. And the key to this is it's not just me streaming, but it's archived. So you can go back and watch my interactions with people over the course of the last 2 years if you want. And I really feel like with the advancements in AI needs a data set essentially on which to build its foundational databases. It doesn't currently have unedited human footage, especially in such a massive amount. So essentially what I think is that AI will use perhaps my stream and other people's streams as a model as to how humans interact and under real conditions. If you look at most YouTube things, they're edited, and that's not really how humans interact. This is an absolute raw, uncut footage of what someone's life is. And I have it on so many different streams that you're able to watch my life in 360 degrees. And that's just on YouTube. I have 6 different streams. I'm also live on 7 different streams on Instagram. I'm live on Facebook. I'm live on Discord. I'm live on Kick, and several other social media platforms. I've developed a robot on that's an auto clicker on Instagram. So every hour, whatever the previous hour was on Instagram is uploaded to the internet. And so essentially, I do my best to be uncancelable. I have over 1,000 TikTok accounts, over 100 Instagram accounts, over 100 YouTube accounts, so that basically if any of my streams are taken down, I can just come right back and ensure that I keep getting my, the message out. Very important. In today's day and age, many times you can be muted because they take down one of your accounts, and I do my best to be uncancelable.
That's awesome. I like Rabbi. What's crazy is I'm in Huntington, so I'm really close to it. That's crazy.
Absolutely. Oh man, Southern California is beautiful, and when this blows up, we'll go to Surf City. We'll do some surfing. Huntington Beach is a beautiful place.